It's me, Abel. This is Able to Psycho. This is my review of the 2020 Specialized Allez Sport 700 miles later. Thank you. I want to do a video on the Specialized 2020 Allez Sport, which is, this is my bike. So I've done over 30 rides on this bike, and I've done over 700 miles in this bike. I got this bike in the beginning of March, and so I did kind of a little review of it, and to me it really wasn't a good review. It was more like a bike check, and so I actually want to do a review now of the parts and everything and how they've been going. So let's get into it. So this is the 2020 Specialized, I call it the Allez, but people say it's the Allez, whatever you want to call it, it's fine. I call it the Allez, that's how I pronounce it, but I'm pretty sure it's the Allez. It's the sport. The sport means it's the Shimano Sora. It's the Shimano Sora system. So the reason why they call it sports is just because you have the 9-speed here. If it was just the Allez or Allez, whatever. If it was just the Allez, it would be the Claris. But this is a sport, so it gives you a gear faster. So it's the Shimano Sora 9-speed bike, 2x system. I have flat pedals. I ride flats because I do not like clip-ins yet. I haven't got to that skill yet where I ride clips yet, just because I'm afraid I'm gonna fall on my face, and I ride by myself all the time, so I haven't learned that skill of riding with clips. So I do ride flats. I ride flats on mountain bikes, and I ride flats on my road bikes. So this is the second bike that I have owned, and I really like the black on black crank here, and these flats are freaking awesome. So these are the Origin Retox pedals, and they're made by Origin 8s. These are the Retox, and these are super sticky. So as soon as I put my foot on here, my foot is not moving. So I'm not the only one who rides flats. If you look at the video, Conor McGregor's, when he does his road bike review, GCN did his bike, Conor McGregor from the UFC. He has a black and gold bike, and he actually rides flats too because he doesn't want to get an ankle injury. So, you know, I'm not the only one who rides flats. So the Specialized frame is actually less aggressive. I think they changed the frame in 2017, and they changed the frame and made it less aggressive. So that was my mistake buying the bike, and I'll tell you the truth, when I bought this bike after a week of having the bike, I was pretty upset because I thought I was getting the same aggressive body geometry as the old school Allez. What they did was they changed the geometry where they made it like half endurance bike but half aggressive bike. And so they want a style where it's more of a they call it, I think it's the wider range style. And so here, I don't want to give you no bullshit, so I'll give you the truth. And so I have a journal here. I write. I'm a nerd. I like bikes. My poor kids, they know I'm a bike nerd. This is pretty much what I do. But yeah, so the E5 frame, blah 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 blah. Yeah, so I knew I had it written down. Anyway, so the geometry is adjusted. It's less aggressive than the 2017 models and before, and they're using the wide range geometry, allowing for a more broader groups of riders, but the bike can be slammed to ride much more like the aggressive tarmac race bike. Alterations include a slacker fork and a head tube mangle and a longer chainstay for additional stability. So I'm not a mechanic and I'm not a geometry guy, but I'll just take the reviews and what Specialized says and what Cycling Weekly says. I'll take their word for it because they're professionals. I'm not. But yeah, so what I did was I already went ahead and moved and dropped my handlebars down. I think these are 5 millimeters, I think, or 5 something. But From what I've saw online, you can actually drop the handlebar all the way down and make this ride like a tarmac. From what I saw online, you could double check that and you know, fact check me if you want. But I thought that was pretty cool that you could actually drop it all the way and ride it like a tarmac. But I just dropped it down, and now that I've dropped it down to get more aero, it's a little bit more uncomfortable. So to be honest with you, now that I've had it, and you know, 700 miles later, I'm happy that it's not so aggressive, because I can actually work into being in that aggressive riding. So last year I did 1,500 miles on an endurance bike, and so now I'm coming into more of a faster bike, and so I'm glad that this has more of a comfortable geometry, but I can still slam the handlebars if I would like to. And then the frame here is their E5 premium frame, and it has manipulated tubing with smooth welds that increases stiffness and efficiency. So this bike is made to be more stiff and more efficient on your pedals. It has the internal cable routing, which I think is pretty nice because it just looks a lot cleaner. It doesn't have your cable sticking out through here. And then also it's got the two-tone paint. It's got the threaded bottom bracket on your bike, and from what I know, a few years ago they had stopped using the threaded bottom bracket, and it was starting to make noise, sounds and creaking and stuff like that. So I'm actually pretty lucky. All the bikes that I have, these are all my bikes. There's my road bike, my mountain bike, that's my son's new bike, but all the bikes that I have the threaded bottom bracket, so I haven't had any issues with that at all. So I've been pretty lucky. And then before I move on to the fork, this is the Shimano Sora. I actually had to have this bike tuned up twice already. The very first shop that put it together did not do a good job setting up the system, so then I had to go to my local bike shop, which is Trek, and they tuned it up for me, and it rode fine. And then after I think I passed 600 miles, it started to get kind of funny on me again, so I just got it tuned up last week, and I did I've just done already 60 miles on it, and it has functioned perfectly. So, but yeah, I've had to get it tuned up twice already. So the guy yelled at me and was like, "Yo man, oil your bike." It's like, oh, okay, my bad. But yeah, so it's working again, but I had to get it tuned up twice. So now let's get to this fork. What makes this bike awesome, I think, is the fork. The fork is I need a water bottle, man. I'm thirsty. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the fork. The fork, I think, is awesome sauce. I think it's like really cool. The fork is a specialized fat carbon full monocoque fork design for high-speed handling. So I know they said something in a review how this part that connects to here is a different measurement than other bikes. I'm not sure what the words were. I didn't write it down, but I think from here to here it's a different size in standard bicycles, and that's why people don't like this bike setup. But I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to mess with it, so I don't care. So I didn't review that part. So if I let you down about that, I'm sorry, but you got to do your homework too. So and make you a better rider. Anyway, so let's talk about this carbon fork, which I think is super awesome. This fork was actually introduced in the 2018 model for the bike. This was the biggest upgrade to the Allez. It's a full carbon fork. Specialized says that this carbon fork weighs in at 350 grams and mimics one of the forks that you would have saw on the S-Work bikes not long ago. So it's a full carbon fork. So even if you get a base model Specialized Allez, you're getting a race carbon fork that was based off of, one of the S-Works bikes. So I think that's freaking like super dope. Like that's just awesome because you're getting a race inspired carbon fork. You're getting a great frame, and if anything, you're paying for the frame. And so the more I ride this bike, the more I enjoy it. So my first week of riding on this bike, I was kind of upset because it wasn't, I'll give you a reason why I was upset. The reason why I was upset was because when I bought the bike, I wanted that aggressive geometry. But if you get the Allez Sprint, which is their highest model, that is the aggressive geometry, and it's not comfortable at all. So I was kind of upset because I wanted a race bike. You know, I wanted like something that I can afford, but with the racer geometry. But now, like, the more I ride this bike, the more I love it. I can be injured and still want to ride this bike. It's just so comfortable. The frame, the way the frame is designed with the carbon fork, and it weighs only 19 and a half pounds. This feels like a rich person's bike, like a rich man's bike. So I have one wife, 4 kids, a dog. I have a kid that's going to be born on Friday. Plus I have all these bikes. So, you know, I'm a budget-minded person. All my bikes are, I do the best I can on a budget. So this bike here, though, when I ride it, it makes me feel like I'm a rich person because it is just so well designed. Specialized really hit it out of the park making this bike. So like just when I ride this bike, I feel like $1 million. I see other cyclists in the richer neighborhoods riding their bikes and everything, and my bike is not as expensive as theirs is, but my bike feels so good, and I'm so proud of riding my bike. So, you know, it's not a $5,000 bike, $7,000 bike. It's a $1,000 bike, but it is super comfy and super fast. With this bike now, I am actually crushing it over 30 miles an hour when I ride. So on a good day, on a good sprint, I can get to about 31 miles per hour. And I've only been cycling for about a year, so for me that's pretty fast. And when I go fast, it feels incredibly stable. So this is my road bike, the Giant Defy. This was my first road bike, and like I said, I've done about 1,500 miles, 1,700 miles on this bike, and it is super comfortable, very comfortable. The only thing is, it's an 8-speed. It's very heavy, but it is super comfortable. I can do a 5-hour ride on this bike, get off the bike, and I feel just really good. This bike, however, though, I did my first Grand Fondo on this bike, which was 68 miles, 109 kilometers, and my shoulders and my neck was sore as hell. And so every time I approach 50 miles on this bike on a ride, my neck and shoulders get very sore. So, but it's gone by the next day. So, I mean, it's not as comfortable as a Defy, but it's still super fun to ride. I like it. It has the brake calipers, not disc brakes, brake calipers, which saves kind of weight. It's the Access 1.0, and so both bikes are brake calipers, but those are the Tektro brakes, and these are the Specialized version brakes, and they stop all right. I don't know how they stop at high speeds because I don't have many hills around here. I just discovered hills a couple of weeks ago, so I've been riding hills for the last 2 weeks, and I feel safe while descending. On my descents, I get up to about 35 miles an hour on the descents, and I don't really brake until the bottom of the descent when I want to stop. So that's the only time I really brake. But they make no noise, no screeching, no noise. So brakes are, for me, they're pretty good. I've ridden in water. I've been rained on. I did a almost a 30-mile ride, and like half of that was in rain and storm. And the water was actually flowing through the streets, and I was riding through it, and my bike was stopping. I was using the regular Specialized tires too at the time, and I didn't slip, I didn't slid. It wasn't like I felt in danger. I was comfortable on the bike, so it was scary. It was my first time riding in a storm, so I mean, it kind of scared the crap out of me, but the bike handled well in the storm. And I guess that'll take me to the tires. The tires. These are not the original tires. They come with the the tires have such a big name. It's the Access Sport tires with the Ninja protection and all that stuff. The tires that came with this bike were 60 TPI, so they were a stiffer tire. They were wire beaded, and that's why I changed them. I wanted a folding tire up front, but the cool thing was, on the Specialized tires, I actually had a piece of gravel stuck in the sidewall, and when I got home, I took out the piece of gravel, and the tire did not puncture. It did not go flat, which I thought was pretty cool, because these are the Grand Prix Classics, which I'll do a video on later. But these tires are basically a cheap knockoff of the Grand Prix. I think the Grand Prix 4s or 4Ss or something like that. So these are a cheaper version Grand Prix of the Grand Prix 4s and 5000s or whatever those other Grand Prix. These are the cheaper version. But I got a little piece of weed in here, like a little thorn. Man, I moved that thorn and it popped my tires. So I think the Specialized protection on their Access tires are better protection than these Grand Prix. So their tires were pretty good. When it comes to tires, you want to find your sweet spot to feel that takeoff. So I think the other tires were a little bit more heavier, and these have better rolling resistance. But as to protection, the Specialized tires had more protection. Sorry, my kid came out and it just, yeah. So like, you know, we got the pandemic and we got the race wars and we got like everything going on. So we got like full house. So this is pretty much my bike shop, is like this part of the living room. So yeah, it's kind of embarrassing, but it's me and my wife and we have 4 kids and 1 on the way. So it's kind of embarrassing, but deal with me. Anyway, so Specialized tires are pretty good. You want to find that sweet spot so you can get better rolling out of them. But as for protection, I like those Specialized tires. I wouldn't mind using those again, but these are just killing it right now. And then I want to talk about the handlebar. So both these handlebars are 42s. What I like about the Specialized handlebars is they actually tell you right here how big they are, and they're 42 centimeters. Okay. Most handlebars, you got to kind of take off the tape and everything to find what they are, or go online and look at them. But these handlebars are more of a compact handlebar. Okay. So these are more of a compact handlebar, and these are, you know, 61 aluminum handlebars. These I would say are more of a compact. They got a 70 reach, about a 125, 123 drop. I really hate the fact that Specialized gives you crappy information on their website. So like, what I like about Trek's website is they tell you the weight. They tell you, like, they give you as much detailed information as they can. With Specialized, they don't do that. They don't tell you the weight of their bikes. They don't tell you the weight of this. This is just a Specialized cheap handlebar. It's safe. I mean, I trust it. I don't think like it would break on me, but it's just a handlebar. There's nothing special about it. So like I said, it's got the 70 reach, compact, small, about 123, 125 drop. And to be honest with you, I don't like the handlebar. It's not comfortable at all. This is my 42 centimeter drop. This is what I like to call more of a ergonomic handlebar. I'm not sure about the reach. I'm not sure about the drop, but I know it's ergonomic because it actually has that little bend here for where your hand can go. So when I ride this bike and I'm riding it, I have no place for my hand to go. So it's not very comfortable. So on this bike, I have no choice but to ride like this most of the time. So after riding like this for hours on end, it's really uncomfortable. And I know, you know, we need to get up here and pull that mug, but I got so used to riding this. So if I'm going to upgrade anything next on my bike, I am going to upgrade this handlebar. So that'll probably be next year. And I'm going to upgrade the aluminum and get that 70, I think it's 70/50 aluminum, because it's like almost as light as carbon. But I just got to find the right one I want. I want more of an 80 reach instead of a 70. I would like an 80. And so, but yeah, handlebar but it's stable. You know, the bike is stable. So, I mean, I wanted to go narrower to like a 40. But when you are on a bike and you're going like 35 miles down a hill, it's pretty scary. And if you cannot control your bike, or it's not stable, I mean, you can die. Like, you could just go over the bars and get killed. So, yeah, when you do something to your bike, make sure that it's safe, secure, and that you're confident in what you're doing. So I was thinking of going narrow, but actually I'm going to stay with the 42 handlebar just so I have stability when I'm going down on my descents, because I'm not a professional cyclist. I'm not even an amateur. It's just something that I like to do. So I'm going to stay with the 42, and that's what I'm going to do. Video's almost over. The last thing I want to talk about is my saddle. And today I just actually got my new Bontrager Affinity Elite. I love Trek. I love Bontrager. I love their stuff. My favorite saddle is the Bontrager Arvada, which is this one. I have it here, and I actually have it on this bike as well too. And it's the same Bontrager Arvada. It's an $80 saddle, but this was actually the Affinity Elite, and this was actually a good price. It's carbon fiber, titanium hollow. So I don't know anything about this saddle, but right now we will talk about the Specialized saddle. Give me a second. And then also, this is my summer kit right here. So my summer kit bottles are my Camelback insulated bottles, keeps the water nice and cold. And then so video's almost over. We'll do the saddle and the wheels, and then that's a wrap, and that will be my review for my 2020 bike. So give me a second. Let me pull out the saddle, and then we'll be back on it. Let's get it out. Okay. All right. So the Specialized Allez, they come with the bridge saddle. This is the new saddle from Specialized. It's the bridge saddle, body geometry, and it's the bridge. This is a 143 millimeter saddle, so it's actually pretty wide. It's more wider than my, I don't know if it's as wide as my Arvada. I think they look like, this one looks a little bit wider. And so I'm actually going from a 143 to a 138. So it's a little bit less. So this is a little bit more narrow. This is wider. And this is definitely heavy, because this is actually carbon fiber and titanium. So this is a few grams lighter, which is pretty cool. But anyway, I got to review the tires, I got to review the saddle, and that's just other stuff to work on. But anyway, so it took me 5 weeks to get my saddle dialed in. I'll tell you how comfortable this bike is. When I first started riding this bike, I had my saddle probably like this much down, and I was using this. I had the seat post. I had the seat post and the saddle down, and I did 30 miles, and my knees were just in pain. I had my seat too low. Lifted it up, still too low, and so it took me 5 weeks to get my seat post dialed in and to get my saddle dialed in, to get it leveled, to get it up close, up front, tilted. Do a bike fit, okay? If you can afford to do a bike fit, do a bike fit when purchasing your bike, or take your bike to the shop and get a bike fit. It will change your ride drastically. So I was actually kind of nervous putting on this new saddle, because now I know I have to do another few weeks now of getting this dialed in, get it tuned in, dialed into my exact, do I want it more, do I want it back, is it leveled, and all that other stuff. But so when I first started riding on the body saddle, I hated it. I thought this saddle was so uncomfortable. It gave me a lot of pressure in my area there, and I just thought it was horrible. And so I actually ended up bringing it in way up here and leveling it out, and it did great. And then as I started riding more, I would put my butt back here, and it actually felt a lot better. So all in all, I think it's a great saddle. It's not my favorite saddle. My favorite saddle would be the Arvada. That's my favorite saddle, is the Arvada, which I think is just freaking great. And then I've tried the Bontrager Sport, and then I've tried this Geometry. I've tried a Giant. I used to have a Giant saddle, and it was horrible. It was terrible. And so yeah, I haven't really tried a whole lot of saddles. So I got lucky that the second saddle I tried, which was the Bontrager Arvada, that was the one that I could use. So anyway, but I've read some reviews on this saddle, and I've already seen that people don't like this saddle. I've already seen a couple guys complaining that this saddle is horrible and very uncomfortable. This saddle, when you see it, it has kind of I don't know, an arch or a hump or something, but it's not like flat, it's not level. It's kind of like you slump in it and it comes out. So if you have the saddle, you can't afford a new one, try, you know, going forward, try going back, get you a level, make sure it's leveled, and try it, you know, that way you can save your money and before you go buy another saddle and you start wasting all kinds of money messing with saddles. Saddles are expensive. The only reason why I got that is because I got it at like 60% off. That's 120 plus tax, so it's like $130 saddle. I got it for 50 bucks flat, so brand new. So that's why I'm going with this one. It was my Father's Day gift, so I want to try it just because it's carbon fiber, titanium, and it's made for racing. So that's why I want to try it. But yeah, so from reviews I've seen online, this is a very uncomfortable saddle, and I thought it was uncomfortable until I got it dialed in. Once I got this saddle dialed in, it was very comfortable. So, and then I've seen the review. There's a YouTube channel. They just did the top 5 bicycles of 2020. They're pretty famous. I forgot their name. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but the Specialized Allez Sprint, the most expensive version of this bike, came in at number 1, and they even like this saddle too. So they said this saddle is very comfortable. So for me, it's alright. I mean, it ain't all that, but it's pretty good once you get it dialed in. So get your bike dialed in. So I just started riding with slamming my handlebars, so you gotta work into that. I have to work into that. And then the last thing here is the Access wheels, Access Sport wheel set here. I like the fact that you got black on black on black. Beautiful. I hate this aluminum stripping. I wish that these were all black, but if you want the all black wheel set, you got to pay for it. And I don't have that kind of money. So if I was to buy an all black wheel set, I might as well, you know, just buy a nice brand new bike. So yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, so this wheel set I think is nice, the black on black. I hate the aesthetics of the wheel. And then the back wheel has stayed perfect, but my front wheel, I've already had to get it trued one time, and then I had a blowout and I put on my new tire, and then it's still not trued, so it still rubs the brakes, which kind of sucks. So the way I remedied it was I just flipped the wheel over and made sure it's the tire's rotating in the right direction, and flipping the wheel over actually stopped the rubbing. So now when I ride and I stand up, it doesn't pull me to the left or pull me to the right, and it rides straight. So sometimes when your wheel needs to be trued, you know, here's your wheel. Sometimes you just flip it around, and that should take care of it. Don't flip it this way. I think you have to flip it this, you know, flip it around. So if your bike, like this is your wheel, right? And it rolls like this. So if you flip it over, it's still gonna roll forward, but your wheel will be different, and that might help the problem. I need to take my wheel off to show you, and I'm not gonna do that right now. But that's what I did, and it helped. And then just make sure that your tire is rolling the right way it's supposed to. Some of these tires have to roll a certain way, so you get the best rolling resistance. So just make sure your tire pattern's going the proper way when you try to fix your tires. So anyway, yeah, I'm a bicycle nerd, and you know, the world is going to shit real quick, so I just want to do a bike review. I just pretty much go to work, ride my bike, and love my family, and that's pretty much what I can do. So I'm about to have a baby, and he's going to be number 5, and I don't know how much I'm going to get to ride with having a baby. So, but this is just all I've been up to since the last YouTube video, is just riding my bike, and I've just been concentrating and working and trying to listen and feel and get a feeling for the bike, so I could give you the best review that I could get. So I hope that this video hasn't been too boring, but there's a lot to talk about when you do a bike review. So if all in all, I hope you appreciate the hard work that I put into it. I put 700 miles of work into reviewing this bike. I've done over 30 bike rides, and all the stability. Also, what I like is when I come to a stop, I can actually kind of balance the bike when I come to the stop. You know, before I couldn't do that, but now I'm getting to the point on this bike where I can actually like balance at a stop sign and wait for people to go before I can ride. So I mean, that's pretty cool. So the bike's very stable. So and it's a size 54. I'm 5'7", so make sure you go on the Specialized website and you get the right size of bike for you, so that way it's more custom fit to you. And that's pretty much all I got anyway. So all right, YouTube, so that was the review. 700 miles later, all around, it's a great bike, and I'm happy I got the bike. So, well, my name is Abel. This is Abel the Psycho, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Can't wait to share the next video with you guys. Be safe, stay safe. Peace. Oh yeah, and keep riding.